Did you know some of the richest NFL stars still live like they're broke? Today we're counting down the most extreme examples. Hey everyone! In this video, we're looking at 8 insanely wealthy NFL players who choose simple lives. No big mansions, no flashy cars, just everyday living. If you enjoy this kind of content, don't forget to hit subscribe. Let's dive in. Now, we move towards the first player, Austin Ekeler. Austin Ekeler comes first on our list, a player whose journey and lifestyle perfectly define this video. Currently with the Washington Commanders, Ekeler entered the NFL as an undrafted free agent, a path that made him value every dollar he earned from the very beginning. Over his career, he has now made more than $30 million in NFL salary and incentives, establishing himself as one of the league's most productive dual-threat running backs. Despite that success, Ekeler's lifestyle remains surprisingly modest. Instead of buying luxury mansions or surrounding himself with expensive possessions, he has openly talked about living in a simple apartment and driving a car worth around $40,000, a choice that shocked many fans who expect NFL stars to live lavishly. For Ekeler, however, this isn't about sacrifice, it's about intention. He has consistently emphasized financial discipline, smart investing, and preparing for life after football. Fully aware that NFL careers can be short and unpredictable, Ekeler chose stability over status. He focuses on saving, growing his wealth wisely, and avoiding unnecessary expenses that could create pressure down the line. Ekeler's approach mirrors his playing style, efficient, disciplined, and purposeful. While others chase attention through luxury, he proves that true wealth isn't about what you show, but what you secure. His story is a reminder that even in a league filled with excess, smart money habits can be just as impressive as success on the field. Now, we move towards the next player, Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is next, a Super Bowl MVP and one of the highest-paid quarterbacks in the NFL. After signing a massive $255 million contract, Hurts instantly joined the league's financial elite, with earnings that could support almost any luxury lifestyle imaginable. Yet, despite that level of wealth and stardom, his day-to-day life remains remarkably simple. Rather than upgrading to a sprawling mansion or indulging in excess, Hurts has been known to live in a modest rental home costing around $2,500 per month. For many fans, this choice came as a shock, but for Hurts, it reflects discipline and long-term thinking rather than limitation. He has repeatedly emphasized the importance of smart money habits, choosing to prioritize saving, investing, and financial stability over flashy spending. Hurts approaches wealth the same way he approaches football, with structure, focus, and purpose. By keeping his lifestyle low maintenance, he minimizes distractions and maintains a mindset centered on preparation, leadership, and consistency. Even as endorsement deals and career earnings continue to grow, he remains grounded, avoiding lifestyle inflation that often traps young stars. In a league where sudden wealth can lead to reckless choices, Jalen Hurts stands out as an example of maturity beyond his years. His story proves that true success isn't measured by what you show off, but by the discipline you maintain when the money starts pouring in. Now, we move towards the first player, Chad Johnson. Next up is Chad Johnson, better known to fans as Akasinko, one of the most charismatic and entertaining wide receivers the NFL has ever seen. During his prime years with the Cincinnati Bengals, Johnson was among the league's elite receivers, earning tens of millions of dollars in contracts and bonuses while becoming a household name across the NFL. Despite his flashy personality on the field and in the media, Johnson's personal finances told a completely different story. He famously revealed that he managed to save over 80% of his NFL salary, an almost unheard-of level of financial discipline for a superstar athlete. While many players traveled on private jets, Akasinko chose to fly budget airlines, often posting about it publicly to challenge the idea that wealth needs to be displayed. He also avoided luxury jewelry and designer clothing, instead wearing inexpensive accessories and living well below his means. For Johnson, frugality wasn't about being cheap, it was about control. He understood that NFL careers are short and unpredictable, and he wanted financial freedom long after football ended. Johnson has often spoken about how these choices allowed him to retire without financial stress, avoiding the common pitfalls that have hurt many former players. His story is a perfect example of how discipline behind the scenes can quietly outperform flashy spending. In a league known for excess, Chad Johnson proved that you could dominate on the field, entertain millions, and still win the money game off it. Now, we move towards the first player, Rob Gronkowski. Next is Rob Gronkowski, one of the most dominant tight ends in NFL history and a future Hall of Famer. Over his career with the New England Patriots and Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Gronkowski earned more than $70 million in NFL salary alone, not including endorsements that pushed his total earnings far higher. On the surface, Gronk's public image was loud, carefree, and party-driven, leading many fans to assume his spending habits were just as wild as his celebrations. But behind the scenes, the reality couldn't have been more different. Gronkowski has openly stated that he never spent a single dollar of his NFL salary throughout his entire playing career. Every game check went straight into savings and investments. Instead, he lived entirely off endorsement income, money from commercials, sponsorships, and brand deals, while keeping his personal expenses surprisingly low for a global sports icon. Early in his career, Gronk avoided luxury splurges, didn't rush into extravagant real estate purchases, and stayed disciplined even as his fame exploded. This mindset was deeply influenced by his family, especially his father, who constantly reminded him that football careers can end overnight. And for Gronkowski, injuries were a constant reality. Multiple surgeries and seasons cut short reinforced the idea that nothing in the NFL is guaranteed. By separating his football income from his lifestyle, Gronkowski created a financial safety net that few players ever achieve. Even after retirement, he's spoken about the peace of mind that comes from knowing he never needed to keep playing for money. What makes Gronkowski's story so fascinating is the contrast. One of the league's most flamboyant personalities quietly practicing elite financial discipline. It's proof that image doesn't always reflect reality, and that sometimes the loudest stars are the smartest when the cameras are off. Now, we move towards the next player, Kirk Cousins. Next on the list is Kirk Cousins, widely regarded as one of the most financially savvy quarterbacks the NFL has ever seen. Over the course of his career, Cousins has earned well over $200 million in fully guaranteed contracts, placing him among the highest-paid players in league history. Yet despite accumulating generational wealth, his lifestyle has remained strikingly simple and almost old-fashioned by NFL standards. Cousins became famous for driving a modest van for years, even while starting at quarterback and signing nine-figure deals. For many fans, this became a symbol of his mindset: practical, family-focused, and uninterested in making statements through material things. While other quarterbacks showcased luxury cars and lavish homes, Cousins consistently chose comfort and reliability over flash. What truly separates him from most players is how intentionally he approached his contracts. Cousins famously bet on himself by rejecting long-term security early in his career, ultimately securing fully guaranteed deals that reshaped how players negotiate contracts across the league. This strategy wasn't about ego or headlines. It was about control, leverage, and long-term financial certainty. Off the field, Cousins is known for being deeply routine-oriented, disciplined, and methodical, from his preparation habits to how he structures his daily life. Those same traits define his relationship with money. He avoids unnecessary risks, keeps his expenses predictable, and prioritizes stability for his family over public perception. For Kirk Cousins, wealth isn't something to display, it's something to protect. His quiet, disciplined approach has allowed him to build long-term security without ever needing to chase attention or validation. In a league driven by image and excess, Cousins proves that patience, consistency, and smart decisions can quietly create one of the most successful financial careers in NFL history. Now, we move towards the next player, Jordy Nelson. Next up is Jordy Nelson, a Super Bowl champion and one of the most reliable wide receivers of his generation. During his NFL career, primarily with the Green Bay Packers, Nelson earned over $80 million in salary and bonuses, cementing himself as a key part of one of the league's most successful offenses. Yet despite that level of success and income, his lifestyle remained firmly rooted in simplicity. Rather than embracing the spotlight or indulging in luxury, Nelson chose a quiet life away from the cameras. He famously returned to his family farm in Kansas during the off-season, where he spent time doing manual labor, driving tractors, and helping with daily farm work. While many players unwind in exotic locations, Nelson found peace in routine, hard work, and familiar surroundings. His spending habits reflected the same grounded mindset. Nelson avoided flashy cars, excessive jewelry, and high-profile living, instead focusing on family, long-term security, and life beyond football. Growing up in a farming household instilled values of discipline, patience, and humility, traits that followed him throughout his NFL career. For Jordy Nelson, wealth was never about changing who he was. Even as a star receiver catching passes from Aaron Rodgers on the biggest stages, he remained connected to his roots. His story stands as a reminder that success doesn't have to pull you away from where you started, and that sometimes the richest lives are built on simplicity, not excess. Now, we move towards the next player, Glover Quinn. Next is Glover Quinn, a former NFL safety best known for his years with the Detroit Lions and Houston Texans. Over a career that spanned nearly a decade, Quinn earned more than $30 million in NFL salary, establishing himself as a consistent, reliable defensive leader in the league. Yet despite that financial success, his lifestyle remained strikingly modest. Quinn has openly talked about living well below his means, choosing practicality over luxury at every step. Instead of splurging on exotic cars or massive homes, he focused on saving, investing, and planning for life after football. His approach was shaped by a clear understanding of how quickly NFL careers can end and how many former players struggle financially once the paychecks stop. Off the field, Quinn was known as thoughtful and disciplined, traits that carried directly into how he handled his money. He prioritized financial education, long-term investments, and stability for his family rather than chasing status or public attention. Even during his peak earning years, his spending habits stayed controlled and intentional. For Glover Quinn, financial success wasn't about displaying wealth, it was about preserving it. His story highlights a side of the NFL that often goes unnoticed: players who quietly build security through smart decisions and restraint. In a league filled with flashy headlines, Quinn stands as an example of how discipline off the field can be just as impactful as performance on it. Those were 8 wealthy NFL players living modestly. Which one surprised you the most? Drop your favorite below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.